Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Movie Mainline, and we have the usual, almost usual cast. And
wait! Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you, Bruce? You know who this is?
Somebody who killed Greg is all I know. It's somebody who's at his house right now.
I took over.
You, sir. I know Greg, and you, sir, are not Greg. I don't
true.
know what you did to him.
He got suddenly sick. We're going to say food poisoning.
Is that what you're going with? Greg got sick?
I did no such thing. I am on the other side of the country. You have no proof against me. None. And the other two gentlemen that are joining us on this as well is the amazing Eric Holmes.
Wow. I'll agree to the last two words.
And of course, Bruce Purkey. Another
Not so amazing.
And of course, Greg, that is not here because unfortunately he did come down with something. I don't know what, and nobody has proof against me otherwise. So I'm taking over for a couple.
Oh, we should say likely not COVID, probably food poisoning.
Yeah. Actually, food poisoning.
Yeah, let's not freak everyone out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I wonder what he ate. Must have been fish. It's usually fish. I gotta say, it's usually fish when you get food poisoning.
Shrimp cocktail in Vegas.
Yeah, right.
Shrimp cocktail. I'm saying that's what it is. So
we all think that what do you call it? Greg is like this little saintly person, but I guarantee you, he has a seedy side that we don't know about.
He hangs outside of his house licking trash.
Trash humpers, right?
Bullshit artists. He's just out there calling people bullshit artists all day long.
Hey. God, I miss Greg already.
Right?
He would rein us in. He would rein in our terrible tendencies.
Should we just start over?
No, let's go. The train wreck starts.
Greg, we apologize in advance.
This is why I don't host this. I just did an hour and a half of hosting on MBM, and it's like, kind of tired there. But yes, today we're going to talk about some freaking amazing movies. Who wants to start off? All right, Bruce, you've been nominated by both of us.
All right. Well, we're going to start out with, as we always do, our rewind segment, right? So we're going to rewind a couple of movies that we saw that were mentioned on previous episodes by one of us. And I will start with, I think it was Greg's mentioned last week, was The Old Guard, which is currently on Netflix. Charlize Theron, however you say her name. It's one version or another. And he mentioned that it was kind of like a lot of Netflix action movies or the big budget kind of Netflix stuff, that it's kind of somehow always lacking. And I would kind of agree. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail other than to say it's not really a superhero movie per se, but it's kind of a John Wick-esque sort of action vehicle. Have either of you seen it, by the way?
Not yet.
Kind of John Wick-esque action sequences, but there's a sort of a superhero element to it. And some of the backstory stuff that they have is really good, but some of the superhero stuff is kind of, I guess it's technically not very interesting. Like the filmmaking itself, like the way it's visually shot, and just kind of the action, the way everything's stuck together as far as plot goes is really generic, whereas the action sequences are really good, and Charlize and the other actors are really good. Like they're doing their best to make it an excellent movie, and the technical behind it just wasn't quite up to snuff, I guess I would say. So if you just want to kind of a no-brainer, go in and get a cheap action movie, it's gonna not, you don't have to think about it too much, just want to enjoy yourself. You could do worse. It's not gonna, make you angry that you saw it, but it's definitely not gonna knock your socks off either. I mean, you could go watch any of the John Wicks and probably have a better time, is what I would say. So, and that's kind of where I think Greg felt on that one too, if I remember correctly. He was kind of in the same boat. So.
I think he felt bad, at least from what I saw in the chat, that he was like, I didn't want you to watch that, but okay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you all probably relate to this, right? you want to go watch something really good, and every so often you see something on there, you're just like, you know what? I just want to pick your Michael Bay movie. I mean, I'll watch them too sometimes, even though I know that they're going to suck, but I just am going to watch a dumb action movie, and I don't care,
That's a perfect segue into my rewind that everybody has done a rewind on now, apparently, is Crawl. I just love this. I love my creature features, and this is just another fun one. Turn your brain off. Watch these giant freaking crocodiles in the middle of a hurricane in a place that it's supposed to be South Florida, but is totally not and looks nothing like South Florida whatsoever.
And it looks like a soundstage, I think, to me a lot.
Yeah. It's very stylized, and it does have its kind of moments, but turn your brain off and enjoy a creature feature movie. That's pretty much the only thing I could say to it. Everybody else has added already enough, I think. So honestly, it's a good, fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I would definitely go watch Crawl before you go watch The Old Guard. Crawl's shorter and it's better. Go watch Crawl. Again.
Yeah. So, Eric, do you have any rewinds for us this week or no?
I did, but then you killed Greg, and so I'll wait till you revive him back to life, and he comes back at night, because it's one of his movies. It's Bad Company. I really liked it, but we'll talk about it more when Greg gets back.
Hopefully, if he survives.
Hopefully.
All right, so who wants to go on with the first review?
I will. Another turn your brain off movie. This is a weird movie for me because I saw this movie so many times when I was a kid, and up until recently, this is the first time I've seen the ending of it. We would go to our parents' friend's house, and they had this movie on VHS tape, and we'd play video games, run around outside, do whatever. And then we'd always come downstairs, and it's like, oh, let's watch this movie. And we'd start watching it, and we'd always get to the exact same spot, and then we have to leave. And then so the next time you figure, oh, let's just start where we left off. No, let's watch it again. And we almost get to the end, stop at the same part. We got to leave. This movie is called The Golden Child, and I am happy to say I finally saw the end of this movie, and it's the ending's a little cheesy.
Yeah,
I don't want to give away the ending. Golden Child is definitely worth watching. It's it's Eddie Murphy movie. It's funny, and he's funny in it. But there's special effects, which I think at the time probably were like, whoa, look at that thing.
Yeah.
And but I have it's weird having nostalgia for 90% of a movie and having zero nostalgia for like the last 10%.
Do I remember correctly? So this is the I feel like ILM might have done the special effects. This is the era where they were doing a lot of special effects that were kind of not quite CGI, but better than the really old special effects.
No, they were definitely not claymation.
Like there's a lot of like optical effects, like where they'll have like when Poltergeist, when you see that storm coming and it's actually just like smoky stuff in water to make it look like it's clouds. I got you. I thought you were going with like when I hear ILM, I'm like, this was well before CGI, but yeah, it's no.
They got the animation and like some of what you're. There's that thing where the Golden Child takes the Coke can or the soda can and makes it into a little dancing boy, and that looks pretty cool. You got Charles Dance from Alien 3 fame, the greatest alien movie ever made. You got Victor Wong, Randall Tex Cobb. Yeah, you got some. You got James Hong. You got a bunch of good 80s actors in there.
Oh yeah,
and Golden Child. Just I rented it on YouTube for like $3. I think you'd probably find it on Amazon. I had YouTube open, so I just paid the $3, but I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. And it's silly, but it's funny and it's fun. And it's Eddie Murphy back when Eddie Murphy was Eddie Murphy.
When he was good.
Right.
Let's just be honest. We all miss those days, and I pray that he comes back. all the time.
He was pretty damn good in Dolomite, though. The Dolomite one last year.
But that's not the Beverly Hills Cop Eddie Murphy.
No, it's not that
Eddie Murphy.
Then again, can he play that anymore as a 50-whatever-year-old man? I mean, he can't be that young, sassy kid, you know?
It's the same thing with Sandler.
He almost got there in Tower Heist, almost. Yeah. But I mean he's gone. But
it's the same thing with Sandler. They all aged out.
I'm going to say he should be like the angry sergeant for the new awesome Beverly Hills Cop guy. And his angry sergeant should be Eddie Murphy. Or he should be the old partner that's now like, it's his last day and I just would need to get through this last one before I quit, you know, that kind of guy.
So like Kevin Hart's the new Beverly Hills Cop and Eddie Murphy's Axel Foley, but he's like older and grizzled and he finally learned to go by the book.
Fuck Kevin Hart.
You know, Kevin Hart, I like you. I see a lot of myself inside of you, but you got to go by the book. I can't be covering your ass every time.
How about Eddie Murphy, but it's training day?
Oh, shit.
That would be awesome. That would be pretty cool.
Stop recording right now.
Let's write that shit.
We need to write the F now.
Wouldn't that be pretty fucking awesome?
That's how serious I am. I went Greg cussing right there and just write the F now. We gotta.
You're replacing.
I would watch that shit.
That's such a good idea. That is such a good idea.
Can you imagine? It would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say, Golden Child, the only thing I'd say about Golden Child to add on to what you said is, this to me seems like if it hadn't been an Eddie Murphy vehicle and been kind of so like built up around his personality, I could imagine this movie being with less name actors, like made by a carpenter and being amazing. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? As opposed to just, okay, kind of popcorny movie. It could have been really, really cool under like someone like Carpenter. You know,
the story is there.
Movie. Yeah,
I remember hearing about the story, but I never seen the film, so I was kind of like, Seems like one of those.
Although, watching it again, and even from what I remember, it's all my favorite parts of this movie are straight from Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty much it.
I want the knife, please.
Give me the knife. What was the whole thing? He's scratching the prayer wheels. Yeah, that's like the standout, I think, moment in the movie. That when he's scratching this prayer wheels. I remember that too. So it's pretty good.
I gotta check that one out. Like actually check it out. So for me, I'm actually bringing 13 cameras. I don't know if any of you have seen this one.
13 cameras?
Yeah,
we can do it with 3, one for each of us, but if you want to bring 13, that's on you.
So basically it's about this crazy neighbor that he kind of stalks people, and he is basically has a bunch of cameras set up, and he likes watching. He's kind of one of these people that likes like that what the hell's the term? Oh god damn it.
Voyeur?
Yeah, he's very much a voyeur. If you've seen Voyeur, it's very similar to that. It's this dirty looking guy that my god, he is perfect in this. His name is Neville Arkenbach. I've never seen him before in anything else, but his acting in this is just superb. He looks like a creep. He feels like a creep. The movie, it feels claustrophobic at times, and honestly it really it plays on that voyeur feel and that kind of tension of is he gonna get caught, and the way that the plot plays out is very interesting because it keeps you moving throughout. And honestly, this is one of those that if you like thrillers, you will love this film. It's a fun one, and it's available on Netflix, I want to say. Yeah, on Netflix.
So is the style like all from his point of view? Like, is it kind of like
no, it's like a outside point of view, but it's not a character point of view at all. And that's why it feels kind of weird the way they chose how to film this, but it's done in a way that it's making you feel like somebody watching him, which is cool. So you get that.
So are there major characters that like you're following along with that are getting like spied on by him, or?
Yes, it's a family that's actually being spied on, and the two characters that it jumps back and forth. It's very low like budget film, and it's him watching this family and you watching this family, and that's it.
Okay,
that's all that's shown in the film. So you're literally just stuck in these two households and everything that happens in between the two houses.
So you're kind of building up the tension, like what's he gonna do, or how's it gonna play out?
And there's a sequel to this one called 14 Cameras, and it's actually as good.
Come on, guys, you gotta try harder than that. 26 cameras, they doubled it, man.
Right? Yeah. No, but
can't wait for 69 cameras.
Of course,
that's the porno version. The Pornhub version, right? But no, this actually, it is one of those that I really liked. It's up there. I put it up there with Creep. I put it up there with Voyeur. It's very much to that style. It's very interesting.
Awesome. Is it me? Am I next? Who's next?
Yes, you're next.
I think it's me. All right. It's like we're all freewheeling without a host, so we're just floating in the ether here.
I know, right?
We need you, Greg. Anyway. So I'm going to do one. I think that Eric's going to hop on with me here, and this is a brand new release. Actually, all three of my movies are released, I think, for everyone to get a hold of in the last week or so. And this is Relic.
Nice.
It's an Australian film by Natalie Erica James. This is her first feature film. And it basically is the story of three generations of women. You've got the grandmother, Edna, the mother, Kay, and the granddaughter, Sam. And they're played respectively by Edna's Robin Nevin. Kay is Emily Mortimer. Emily Mortimer is awesome in this movie. She's super good. They're all good, but Emily Mortimer is really, really good. And then Sam's played by Bella Heathcote, who you might have seen in Neon Demon. I think that's probably her most famous thing she was in. So the basic concept is this. You've got the older lady, and she's kind of gone disappearing from her house, and there's signs that she has dementia or some sort of problems as far as from her aging, and her family's concerned. So the daughter and the granddaughter come out, and it's a super. Well, you can chime in on this too, Eric. It's very slow plot wise, but for me, I was totally drawn into it, but I would warn people going in that it's way more about the family dynamics and dealing with age and dementia and all those kind of problems than it is like a jump scare sort of horror movie. So if you like more of a visceral horror movie, this is not going to be for you. I mean, I loved it because it's more
until
creepy. You loved it until the end? I love
no, I'm saying it's not visceral until then.
Yeah. So I would say, the first 2/3 is really setting the stage, and you got to go with it. You got to stay with these characters and follow them. And it has a drama right there, and it has creepy elements, but it's not very overt. But that final, what do we say, like 25 minutes or so, it ramps it up pretty good. So
yeah. I was going to compare this, not story-wise, but it reminded me of when I saw A Ghost Story. Like the first part of the movie, I'm like, I get it. Okay, let's move this along. Yep, okay, I understand. Let's move. Wait, what's this? Oh shit! Right. Oh shit! So
yes,
this would be a movie that I think a lot of people pretend for some homework early on, but if you do your homework, you will pass the test at the end.
Exactly.
I think that might be the worst metaphor ever, but stick with it. Pays off in the last half totally pays off, and the ending. I'm not going to mention the ending other than to say that ending
is
fucking
amazing.
Blew me away.
Me too.
Really?
It goes places.
Okay.
So the final sequence is really good and really gets a little bit interesting and weird. But the very, very final moments, like what would you say, like the last maybe 7 or 8 minutes, is
I'll say when they're
awesome.
in the bedroom.
Yes, it's so good.
It doesn't give anything away, but when they're in the bedroom, that's where things get really weird, and
it goes
really,
to places I was not
gross,
expecting. Yeah,
and oddly touching.
Yes,
I did not expect to feel the way I felt at the end of that.
Yes, and I will
like what you see on screen, or at least I don't want to speak for anyone else, but for me, what I saw on screen and what I felt emotionally are two polar opposite things.
Yes. And I think that's intentional. I think you're supposed to feel that way.
Yeah.
And this, I will just do a quick little forward promote, because by the time that this actually posts, there should be a spoiler. I should have a spoiler mini episode up with on my YouTube, but I'll also post it through Movie Mainline with myself and Andrew Martin from Andrew Watches Movies. We're going to get together and we're going to do a spoiler discussion on this. So, if you, maybe you can hop on it.
I would be down for that.
All right. Well, we'll figure out. Maybe able to hop on that. But what I would say is, I wouldn't get into that until you've watched the movie. But if you have dealt with an older person in your life, either having dementia or just having an older person pass away, or just kind of the hardship of having a family member, either a grandmother or a mother or a parent, I think emotionally this could really hit you. And I've strangely found there's kind of a divisive point of view on this movie, and I've had a lot of people saying there's no character development, which I find baffling. I think there's a ton of character development in this movie. It's just not exposition type of character development.
Yeah. Well, because the movie works on two different levels. It works one as a supernatural thriller, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah,
and
mystery.
Watching it purely as that, maybe there's not character development, but then there's the other way to watch it, which is everything that happens is a metaphor for something. In which case, it's only character development.
And that's exactly my point. People that don't understand there's character development here either just don't like what it's doing or aren't getting it somehow, because through the whole movie, and I would say especially for the mother character, Kay, I think she's the one that changes the most. Although the granddaughter changes too. Her points of view change throughout the movie, but the mother character goes through is the arc of the movie, really, in a lot of ways. And where she is at the beginning to where she is at the end is totally different. And if that's not character, that's classic character development, in my opinion. I don't know. And I think that Greg is on a similar boat with us on this, and we'll have to, maybe he can rewind it next week since he didn't get to talk about it this week. But I highly recommend it.
So
I highly recommend it to people who are into a little more, a little more slow burn, a little more metaphorical kind of horror than straight up visceral horror. Yeah, it's cerebral, but it has its moments at the end. You'll agree with me, I think, on this, Eric. It's got its moments at the end that are horrifying.
Yeah.
You'll go, okay.
On top of that, it turns into kind of a haunted house thing with the labyrinth. And I've mentioned before, I've had nightmares about that all the time.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah, it's like you go through one door, and then you go through another door, and then you go through, and then you're at a dead end, and you turn around, there's another dead end. It's like, I don't know where I am, so you got to crawl through a wall, and it's like, oh, God.
This is one of those movies that I think really kind of seeps into you. And a day or two later, I think you'll still be kind of like, whoa, that was really good. Like, it kind of sinks in, I think. One other thing I'll mention really quick, and then we'll move along. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, to that point, I could absolutely see someone watching this, get to the end, hate it, and then think about it in a couple days. It's like, I hate this movie. And then 2 days later, they're like, maybe we should go. I'll watch that scene again. I'll go on YouTube watching it. You know what? Maybe I'll give the movie another shot. They watch it. It's like, actually, this is pretty good. Then they watch it a third time. It's like, no, this movie's brilliant. It's one of those movies, like, even if you don't like it, it might creep up on you later on.
I think so too, and I think creep up on you is perfect because it's creepy. It's just kind of, it sinks into it's like cold dread, moldy. Like moldy is used in this, all the time. Like, it just kind of is sinks into you. And one other thing I'll mention is, if you watch this movie, I wouldn't watch the short before it, because it kind of spoils a little bit something that happens in this movie. Once you watch this movie,
wait, the short?
Yeah, the short Creswick. Have you watched Creswick?
No.
By the same director.
Oh, okay.
Go watch the short Creswick, and she has another short called Drumwave, which is also pretty good. But Creswick is directly related to this movie, and I would watch it after you watch this movie because it has an element to it that kind of would spoil something that happens in this movie.
Right.
But it also is really.
So I got to watch the movie first.
I would because I feel like if you watch the short first and you watch the movie, you'll kind of won't be hit as hard by the.
All right, I'll watch Relic first, and then I'll watch Creswick.
Thanks. Creswick is really good. Anyway, I think this director could be really interesting. I really like what she's doing so far for an opening feature film. She's working on pretty high level there. So we'll see what happens.
This movie for me is because I was not a fan of the Babadook.
What?
This not a fan at all. This movie for me did what I think it did for other people with the like.
Yes.
When I saw the Babadook and I was like, it was fine, but like everyone was just flipping shit about it. Like, and I just, it didn't grab me that way and I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
This feels like the movie that everyone saw when they were describing the Babadook to me. It was like, oh, okay. Like,
I think the biggest thing with the Babadook is that it came out of left field. That's what I think it was more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it was before like the cerebral A24 movement that happened right after it.
Yeah. And maybe I just need to watch it again, but I saw the Babadook and I'm like, okay. I get it, the whole metaphor, but for some reason this one grabbed
better.
me. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
that and the labyrinth and what happens within the labyrinth are like directly out of my head nightmares I've actually had. So it hit me on that personal level, which obviously it's not going to hit anyone else on that level. But
I think this will hit a lot of people on a personal level. I think this has some pretty archetypal kind of horrors, both in your real life, emotional life, and both in kind of nightmare logic. So I think a lot of people should be able to latch onto this.
Just to tell you what my nightmare is, and this has nothing to do with the movie, but if you watch the movie, you'll be like, oh yeah. I had a dream that I went to my aunt's house, and my grandma just died like a couple of years earlier when I had this dream. And I go to my aunt's house, and it's the labyrinth type house. I go in one room, go in another room. Before I know it, I'm just stuck in the house, and I can't find my way out. And I eventually get to this one room, and there's this red curtain. I pull the curtain, and it's my grandma's mummified body behind the curtain. I found out that my aunt's been like, this is a dream now. This did not really happen. but this would be a recurring nightmare I would have. And so obviously that doesn't happen in the movie, but you can see where a lot of that is kind of similar to,
I can see how that might relate to you a little bit. So anyway, Lewis, you should definitely rewind this next week. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm excited to watch it after the way that you guys described this and everything. I'm super excited to see what this movie's about. All right, so I guess my turn this time. The one that I want to bring up, honestly, is Eric is going to jump on for sure for this one. Hopefully Bruce will too, is Green Room. This is such
Never seen that. Is that a... Oh, wait, that won the Best Picture. Was it last year or the year before?
No. Totally different movie. Patrick Stewart and Anton Welch, and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. This is kind of interesting because it grabs like this story of like a punk band that goes to the Skinhead show and calamity ensues at that point. Yep. And it's literally, I don't want to give anything away of this movie for anybody that hasn't seen it because it's such a fun roller coaster, especially if you don't know what's going to happen. But I think that if you're into Jeremy Saulnier films and if you're into these like kind of thriller, kind of ambush films, this is very similar to that. This follows, I don't know, what would you guys compare this to?
I would compare it to like Driving Miss Daisy, but like switch the races. The part with Viggo Mortensen like driving instead of Morgan Freeman. It's the weird thing is you say Patrick Stewart. I do not remember Patrick Stewart in this movie. But I mean, for a racially motivated movie, it is pretty good. It's says someone was talking about like Nazi skinheads, and I'm like, I do not remember that part of the movie, but like I could see. I mean, Viggo wasn't a Nazi. Let's be clear. He definitely had his racial tendencies, but he kind of grew past it, and I think it was really nice. And
Eric,
of course,
Eric, I
that?
think you're thinking of a different movie.
No, he's talking about Green Room, where he plays in the piano band.
That's Green Book.
Green Book.
Very close.
Yeah, I know. I was joking.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Are you sure?
I was joking.
So, what do you think about Green Room?
It was good. I was joking.
Greg is never going to let us be alone again.
Never.
He's going to be like,
again.
You guys are so off the rails.
You're fired.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, so one thing about this movie, I mean, I love the way that Jeremy Saulnier, he will have like just kind of straight ahead, very, very simple kind of action or thriller sort of stories. But when he puts violence in there, there's something about the way he does violence that really punches you in the gut. Like it's so easy
visceral.
to, yeah, I don't know what it is, but he has a way of doing it where you get the violence. You're just like, oh shit. You feel it. And there's a moment in here. I will not say it. There's a couple moments in here. There's one especially where I just go in like, oh my
where he gets where he gets a snake tattoo.
Well, that, but also the moment where somebody's stomach has some trauma. Oof, that is rough.
There's some rough scenes in this movie, but
feeding the
Patrick
dog.
Stewart, out of all people, Patrick Stewart involved in this is kind of one of those like, wow, what? It gives a class to that.
Yeah, I think for my money, this is my favorite Star Trek movie.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's all holodeck.
The part where he says "make it so" and they like get the dogs. That's so good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit weird. That's some of the episodes they usually have, but And the guys with the red shirts, they were a little different role in this movie, but
it's a little bit. They had a little bit more tattoos, and
Yeah.
But
I think the idea is so. I was gonna say the idea is so great. Like whoever even thought of the idea, like have a punk group accidentally play for a bunch of skinheads, and they don't know it until the moment they're on stage. And then what they do the moment they're on stage is like, oh, that's so awesome. It's so like, and that is fucking. Like, you want to say what is punk rock? When you're in that moment and you actually do that, that's ballsy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I would also say that Green Room's one of the Green Room. Yes, Green Room. I made so many stupid jokes. I forgot what we were talking about. But Green Room's like
the soundtrack is
maybe there's another one. Usually when they have punk rockers in movies, they do the writer's version of what he thinks a punk rocker is, and it's usually like way off. Like I definitely got this sense that Jeremy Saulnier's been to a show. Probably more than one show. And there's so many details, like the one-off comments of when he mentions skinheads, and they're like, what kind? Because there's like 50 different types of skinheads, racist ones, non-racist ones, sharps, they're just the fact that a non-racist band would play at a skinhead venue to begin with. Like I guess a lot of people probably wouldn't understand that, but like at the time, like that's like for instance, Black Flag would play shows and Nazi skinheads would show up. That's nothing on Black Flag. They just played the show. They have no control over who shows up. But like they Green Room got a bunch of those little tiny details in there that you just never see in movies.
Another detail they got really right was, I used to live in the Seattle area, and I was in the punk rock scene back in the 70s. So one thing they got really right was, this is in Oregon, and a real common thing is bands will tour the West Coast, and you're a little punk rock band. Like they kind of show this in the movie, they're just like in their van and they just have to get enough money to get to the next spot. And it was always a problem, because once you left Sacramento, San Francisco, area, you had to basically get either to Eugene or all the way to Portland. So that little fact of the area they're in is an area where if you can get a show in there, you'll just take it, because you got to get enough money to get now to the Seattle area. So that actually itself was just kind of the whole plot driver of this movie. And it absolutely makes sense just from an actual tiny punk rock band realistic sense, you know.
And from someone that's played shows before, and Bruce, you could probably agree with this. At the end of the movie, the band didn't get paid, which is completely realistic.
I played tons of shows where we literally, you would go after the show and you'd be like, okay, and you go to the promoter dude and he'd give you like $5 for the band. Yeah. There you go. Or they'd give you like beer tickets.
Beer vouchers,
like a beer voucher, and that would be what you got. And like when we did that one time, and we had a guy that wasn't even 21, he could only come in to play the show, and he had to go back out of the place because it was a bar, you know. So yeah, it's true, very true.
Yeah, but that movie definitely has a bunch of really great. My favorite detail, and this is not even really a detail, but it's something I see in a lot of movies featuring bands that. Yeah, that. I won't say it bugs the hell out of me, but it never happens, is when a band's playing, they don't talk to each other. Yeah. Because when the band's playing, you can't hear them.
You can't hear yourself when you're playing. Yeah. At a place like they're at, you can't hear yourself. You're hoping that you're even in the sync with each other, you know?
Like Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. I love that movie. It's so cheesy, but I love it. But him and Tim, I think it's Timothy Oliphant. They're like sitting there rocking. They're like, "What's up?" And they're like having a full-on conversation.
Oh like, God, I know.
No, that never happened ever. That never.
Look
happened.
at what we're doing, man.
Never.
Yeah.
So what are you doing after work? Oh, you bring your car or the van? Van's sweet. Hey man, do you want to? It's like no. You haven't talked before the show or after the show, not during the show, unless it's between songs, because you can't hear.
And even in between the songs, you won't be able to hear shit.
And you'd be like, "We're playing the next song, okay?" And then this is usually all you do. If
usually have the set list on the ground, and you just, someone starts playing the next song, click, 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 click. Blah,
yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Because, dude, I used to help out and like manage bands and stuff like that down in South Florida, and it was the same thing. It was like, no, you can't hear shit. I would freaking fall asleep because the only time I got a chance to sleep was on the freaking subwoofer, and I had the opportunity to actually fall asleep.
You know what? Here's a detail they did not have in Green Room, but would have just said it like over the top, and I would have loved it. They get done with the song. They got the set list. They go to play the next song, but they can't because the guitar player is tuning.
Yeah. Or he would have broken a string, and he'd have to restring it.
Yeah.
And you'd have to and everyone's like, "Fuck!" Oh, even worse would be like he'd like break a string, and then they would have stopped halfway through the song. He'd want to start again at the beginning of the song again, and everyone would be like, "Oh, fuck you, man! Fuck you."
Yeah, no, it's cool, dude. It's not like we're playing a show or nothing.
We didn't get the whole song yet, man. They need to hear the song all the way through. And everyone's looking at you like, oh, God. And you're like the opening band, so no one cares a shit about you. And like,
Hey, if anyone in the band's listening, you're a young band, maybe you don't know, hot tip. If you mess up the song, just stop and go on to the next one because no one cares.
Yes. People are going to be really pissed if you start over again because they already heard half of it. They didn't want to hear it again.
Just like when doing movie podcasts, if you mess up the review, just stop.
Keep going.
Move on.
Keep going. Yeah. Keep going through. Honestly, no, it's one of those movies I've seen a million times and I enjoy it every time. This is one of those that I stand at the top of a tower and scream like, oh, you got to watch this because this is definitely one of those really, really good. And Saulnier, I mean, he's done really good. Besides Blue Ruin, Murder Party is a fun movie. I don't care what anybody says. That is a fun as fuck movie to watch.
Yeah. And then Hold the Dark. Apparently, I'm the only one that likes that movie. But I'll stand by it.
We won't talk about that one.
All right, Eric, I think you're up next, right? What's your movie?
Hey. Well, speaking of Hold the Dark, I saw what I thought was a movie. And it's a TV series. and there's only 2 episodes out, which it's just everything about this tricked me. But I'm glad I saw it. It's based on Michelle McNamara's book, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Michelle McNamara is the late wife of Patton Oswalt, and she is she's really into true crime. And they do this thing online, what they call it, like a citizen detective. You've seen the documentary "Don't F with Cats"?
Yes.
I don't know why I'm censoring myself now.
Yeah.
I must have said "fuck" like 12,000 times in every episode.
It's a Greg symptom.
But yeah, Greg's not here, so yeah. But like how don't fuck with cats. They have the people online that kind of play detective,
right?
And they
kind of the hive mind to go solve something.
Yeah, they trade information, and between them all, they can kind of figure things out. Well, this is kind of what Michelle McNamara did. She was looking up the Golden State Killer, caught her interest. She would do like a true crime podcast and all this, and they kind of follow her. They only have 2 episodes. I guess when it's all said and done, they'll have 5 of them total. And I read her book. Well, I listened to the audiobook of her book. It was really good. And apparently, spoiler alert, after she died, through all the work that she's done, they have found the Golden State Killer. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not to that part because they only have 2 episodes out, and we'll have to wait for the other 5. I don't even know why I'm reviewing this, but it was a thing I spent more than 2 hours watching, and yeah, it's really good. It's on. I saw it on HBO Plus. I think it was either that or Amazon. I think it was HBO, the HBO app that I saw it on.
Is this Patton Oswalt's his late wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember hearing about it at the time that she was doing all this like research on the Golden State Killer, and I remember after the fact them crediting. I'm just in the news hearing of that they credited a lot of her work with helping catch the guy.
Yeah, much like with Don't Fuck with Cats, it was her and some other people like were trading notes like, hey, I'll give you my box of notes, and then they give them there, and then they between all of them they find all this evidence and just fun stuff. And
what was the name of that again?
I'll Be Gone in the Dark. That's something that the killer would threaten his victims with. Often, I guess one of his MOs would be he would come in, rape. Well, he started off as a rapist, East Area rapist, EARONS, Erons. But he would start off. He became a serial killer later. So what he would do is he would put people in some kind of odd positions to where they don't know what he's doing, so he can make a empty threat, but they have no idea if he's telling the truth or not. For instance, they would tell the husband, they tied the husband up and tie him to some dishes, and hey, if I hear any of those dishes clank together, I'm killing your wife. And he can't see them because they're in the other room, and he doesn't want to move because if he does, maybe a plate slides down, hits a glass, or you never know. So he would set people up in positions kind of like that, and then say, I'm gonna do this, and this to you, and there's nothing you can do because before you know it, I'll be gone in the dark. So I guess that's where the thing gets his name from. But definitely worth watching. The audiobook's definitely worth listening to. I'm sure the book is worth reading, and it's interesting stuff. And I hate TV shows, but this one got me because I thought it was a movie.
Very cool.
All right, Bruce. So how about you?
Yeah. So my next one is a brand new. Well, it's the newest release by A24, and it's called First Cow. This, I believe, at the current moment, is only available to purchase streaming, and it's like $12. I've kind of got to the point with A24 that I pretty much will watch just about anything they put out. but I'm sure if you wait a week or two, you can get it for just streaming. First Cow is directed by Kelly Reichardt, who has done, I haven't seen her other stuff, but she's pretty renowned. She did Wendy and Lucy, Certain Women, Meek's Cut Off, a few other things. This movie is really interesting. Now, this is a very certain flavor that won't be for everybody. This is a super character-oriented, super quiet, lots of dialogue. I guess one thing I kind of commented on when I did my YouTube review of it is that if you kind of dig the vibe of something like Midnight Cowboy, where it's just these two guys that are kind of misfits, making a friendship in a world that's kind of against them, to me, that's how this kind of works. What it is this is back in the Oregon Territory, so back in the 1800s. You very quickly meet the main character, well, one of the two main characters. You meet Cookie Figowitz. And Cookie Figowitz is the cookie for a group of trappers. And he's kind of like, you can tell right off the gate, he's kind of a gentle soul, and he's kind of not the type to really be rolling with these trappers who are obviously very rough and out in the rugged West. And pretty quickly he kind of finishes that job, and he goes to like the local outpost. It's kind of like that classic, Old West, Northwest town where it's just mud and a few wood huts, and you can trade with some Native Americans there. There's a variety of kind of groups all crossing paths in this tiny little outpost. He goes there and he meets up. Actually, when he was out with the trappers, he met this guy, this Chinese American immigrant who was on the run, and he showed him, named King Lu, and he was really friendly to him, and he helped the guy out, kept him secret, and let him escape. So when he goes back to the outpost, he meets back up with King Lu, and they become friends. And the basic story is these two guys are trying to figure out in this world, like, how they can kind of make their dreams come true. And it all revolves around Cookie wanting to start a successful business baking. I know this sounds really weird, and it involves the first cow. And the first cow is the first cow in the territory. And you show it coming in on a barge, and the rich guy in town, owns the cow, and there's a reason that they need that cow. I guess William Lindis from Movie Bears podcast, he described it as the most gentle heist ever shown. So it is kind of that. That's a very good description. If you like super authentic, quiet, lot of natural setting in this very kind of rustic old Northwest setting, and really interesting characters, and kind of just how they have to deal with how do you survive in that environment when you're not a trapper, you're not a hunter, you're not one of those kind of people. Like, how do you make it in that world? And there is one other main character, and that's a character named Chief Factor. He's kind of like the magistrate of that area. He's the rich dude, very much different than everyone else lives. And it's played by Toby Jones. If you know who Toby Jones is, he's one of those guys you've seen you know who he is?
Yeah, he's the short guy with the glasses in The Mist.
Yes. He's been in a million things. I think he's in the Hunger Games, at least one or two of those. He was in a movie where he kind of stars in this one movie called Barbarian Sound Studio, which is really
Wasn't he in one of the Captain Americas?
I believe he is, yeah.
Right.
So he plays this guy who's kind of running the area there. He's kind of the law of the land and kind of the governor, kind of everything, right? And he gets involved in it, and it's a very, very amazing scene where I won't kind of describe what happens there, but I love this movie. It's a kind of a slice of life and a character movie. If you kind of go down for those sort of things, you can enjoy it. If not, it could be the most boring movie you've ever seen. So I don't want to oversell it to somebody who's not kind of into that vibe. But if you're into that vibe, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff to find in this movie. So it'll definitely have an audience. Yeah.
Do they play any Steely Dan?
They do not. They kind of keep the period mood a little more than that.
It's like, are they going to play Black Cow?
They're not. No, they do not. Yeah, it sounds like a comedy almost by just calling it First Cow. And you see the pictures and they have these giant yellow letters, say First Cow, and you see a cow there. But the cow is just kind of like the catalyst of how they can kind of create their dreams. And it's involved and it's pretty cool.
I'm trying to sell it to the meat eating crowd, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Someone else described it as like the the weirdest Chick-fil-A ad ever or something, you know. But yeah, no. Did we lose Lewis?
Yeah, he just hit me up. He's having Wi-Fi issues, but he'll be back.
Okay. Well, what do you got for your last movie? Since we're gonna just go out of order here, then, Mr. Eric, what do you got?
All right. Well, movie I saw was a 2018 movie called Arizona. It's got Danny Bride. I'm not sure. Okay. Danny Bride, Rosemary DeWitt, Luke Wilson. There's other actors that pop up, but I did not know they were in this, and I was very surprised to see a lot of them. So I will not say who they are, but there's some people that you've seen before, and there's one in particular I have not seen for a long time in the movie, and it was great seeing them for when they showed up. But essentially, this is Rosemary DeWitt. She is a realtor. And she's at this house, and I guess it would be Seth Rogen. He's one of the people that pop up for a short amount of time. He's showing the house and to Danny McBride, who's the main character. And they're out on the balcony. They get in a little argument, and Danny McBride knocks him over the balcony and kills him. And Rosemary sees this. Danny McBride sees it, she sees this, and so he's got to tie her up because we got to figure this out. Well, it was an accident, but we got to figure this out. And it's have you ever seen Cheap Thrills or Small Crimes?
I've seen Cheap Thrills. I haven't seen Small Crimes. It's
one of those type of dark comedies where it's like really funny, but it's also kind of got like, I guess it's just dark comedy. There's a bunch of really funny parts in it, but they're not like obvious funny parts. And of course, like Danny McBride, if you're a fan of him, you know whether or not you're going to be a fan of this, because he plays pretty much as, you know, it kind of grows into that, but he's pretty much a psycho. Doesn't start off that way, but his character is actually he's not far off from This Is the End, where he just starts off as a dick. But then we meet up with him later, he just like went full on fucking Mad Max.
Yeah, he's become like the warlord of his little realm there.
He doesn't quite go Mad Max in this, but like as the movie progresses and as he keeps messing up and as he keeps killing more people, he becomes more and more insane. And
I've never even heard of this movie. When was you said 2017, 16?
2018. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even notice this either, but Steve's like, hey, this movie's with Danny McBride's on there. I'm like, I'm in. And they started reading the thing. It's like a bloody dark comedy about something. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm watching it. And then he keeps reading about the real estate crisis. And I'm like, stop reading. He keeps reading.
That's
it's like,
pretty cool.
When a man it gets blah 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 and the housing crisis does this, I'm like, dude, you're sounding boring as fuck. Stop. Just start it off, Danny McBride, bloody romp.
Leave it there. Yeah. Where is it at again? Did you say?
It's called.
Find it? Where can you find it?
Oh shoot, that's a good. I think that was HBO Plus too. Yeah, because we watched this and then we watched I'll Be Gone in the Dark right after this. So yeah, it would be HBO Plus. Could be on Amazon Prime too. See, we got Showtime, Prime Video. But yeah,
that sounds good though. I want to check that one out.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Hey, my audio is working, but my video does not want to start.
All right.
All right. We'll listen to you. We'll listen to you.
We would like to introduce the viewers of the podcast, the disembodied voice of Luis Lacau. For those of you listening, nothing has changed.
So
Thelma and Louise.
right. Oh, did you guys want me to go then?
Yeah, go
for
ahead.
it.
Yeah, there's not much more to add to Arizona other than it's a fun dark comedy, and I think a lot of people like it. It's 85 minutes and totally worth watching.
Sweet. The last one that I wanted to do is it's a movie that I like rewatching randomly, and it's actually Devil's Advocate. Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron, the aforementioned, and this is one of those classics that I rewatch every maybe 2 years or so, and I just love watching it. It's a lawyer. Keanu Reeves plays a lawyer that is presented with a case or potentially being recruited by this major lawyer in New York that is played by Al Pacino's character, and it's kind of plays into the whole devil went down to Georgia type of thing. If you make a deal with the devil, do you survive it, and is there ways around it? And this movie is one of the first visceral movies that I saw that were kind of like, holy shit, the context that this movie brought up, watching this at a young age, because I believe this came out in 96, 97. I'm not
I feel
mistaken.
like it's later than that, but it's right around that era, though, for sure.
And I just remember seeing this in theaters, and I was like, holy crap, the subject matter on this was something as an 11-year-old, 12-year-old Lewis was like, holy crap, this is pretty interesting, and it kind of got me started into thrillers and actually going down that rabbit hole of thrillers. So that's why I wanted to bring up with all the other thrillers that I brought up today. Just kind of, it's one of those like baselines for me.
And it's got that infamous like scene chewing, like over the top finale with Pacino. Probably the last time he did a really great, like he always yells in all of the movies now, but this is the last one where he did it, and it was just like, extra special.
Yeah, seriously. And there's something about that scene at the very end where the wall art in the background starts shifting. That shit scared the crap out of me as a kid. And that's one of those things that got embedded in my in my head. It was one of those what do you call it? You're bringing up earlier, Eric, about one of those dreams that always creeped you out, and it doesn't. It's not something that's normally creepy, but it just really creeps you out. That is one of those scenes that really did that for me.
And this was still pretty early in Theron's career, and I remember she'd been in a few things, but this is the one where I felt like, oh wow, she's gonna be around. She's special.
She had a staying power for sure after this, and you get Keanu Reeves doing an actual performance, which is pretty interesting, instead of playing the stoner stone face, pun intended.
Yeah, he was a stoner lawyer.
But I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to bring that one up quickly, honestly.
This is kind of a thing I'd bring up about Keanu is he's always best when you throw him in a role where he's kind of out of his element, or he's like he's a little bit out of control, because he always has like, other than the John Wick movies, which he's kind of found a groove there too, but the other movies where he's in, like if you look at like the original Matrix, why that one works so well is because that whole movie he's like, he doesn't know what he's involved in exactly, but once he's supposed to be like the one, and then it kind of doesn't work so well, because he's not. I don't know. There's something about him in that sense he doesn't work usually for me.
Yeah,
but he's really good in this movie. He's really good. Perfect.
This is probably one of his top performances. But I agree with you, Bruce, on that 100%. It's like Nick Cage. You have to put him in awkward situations for him to shine.
Everything. You have to
put I don't know, man. Nick Cage, if he has a good director and a good script, I'll always give Nick Cage a chance. He can do a lot.
I always give Nick Cage a chance. Like Mom and Dad was such a fun movie. I don't care what people say about that one. That was a fun fucking movie.
Oh, Mom and Dad, yeah.
I feel like it's a whole generation of people though.
Right now.
I feel like it's a whole generation of people who haven't seen Nick Cage like pre 2000 and are missing like so many good performances by him.
Vampire Kiss. So many good
just
movies.
Even some of the bigger ones like Moonstruck he's hilarious in that movie, and
it really is. That's an underappreciated performance of his.
Yeah. That weird wolf with the hand and all that stuff. I don't know what he is, but it's weird. Cool. All right, I got one more movie if you guys are ready for it.
Yes.
Hold on.
All right. You ready? He's taking.
We've already went off the rails, so time for a breathing exercise. Just breathe in and breathe out. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, good deal. We're gonna have to warn Greg so he knows what he's getting into. He tries to listen to this episode.
Just send it to him. I apologize.
Yeah,
we're sorry.
He was only like,
help, and I apologize.
Help, we need you. All right, my last one is on Hulu right now. I think it might even be a Hulu original, and it is the movie Palm Springs, which you may or may not have seen popping up in your feed.
Yes. We actually just reviewed this today.
I will say that I'm a terrible person to recommend or not recommend comedy. I'll just say that right out the gate because I don't think I have a good comedy radar. So if it's horror, I'll tell you what I think is good, and I think I'm pretty on point. Drama, I'm pretty on point. Comedy, I don't know so much. So I'll just tell you what I felt about it, and you.
Well, you laugh at my jokes, so I think
exactly. See my point? Exactly my point. You're proving my point, sir. No,
exactly. So you have the greatest taste in comedy, is what I'm trying to prove.
That's true. So Palm Springs, directed by Max Burbakow. I don't know this person at all. I did not have a lot of credits as far as features. It looked like it kind of has some relation to Lonely Island Boys. You've got Andy Samberg in there.
It's written by them.
And then you've got the main other character in this is played by Kristen Milioti. I don't know how to say her name, and that's Sarah. And Andy Samberg plays Niles. So. Basic concept. This is going to get a lot of comparisons to Groundhog Day. I mean, that's the obvious thing because it's a time loop movie. And right out the gate, you're going to go in there with the baggage of either hating it because it's not Groundhog Day or giving it a chance or whatever. For me, kind of like you said earlier, what was the movie you said that you weren't so hot on that everyone loves? I forgot what it was. You just mentioned one.
Babadook?
Yeah, Babadook, yeah. So in the same way, Groundhog Day is good, but I don't love Groundhog Day. I think it's good. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah. Real quick to that point, I think Groundhog Day, a lot of it has that gets a lot of praise for its script.
Yeah.
Like the actual written script.
Yes.
There's that, and I think Aliens, and there's a couple scripts.
Back to the Future.
The one, not scripts as in watching the movie and trying to guess what the script is, but actually reading the script.
Yeah,
Groundhog Day is one of those that is really tight, and the way they describe stuff within the script is really, if you point someone to how to write a good script, that's what it is. Whether or not you like the movie is another discussion entirely.
So, and I agree totally. I mean, it's definitely a tight script. Where I would just say if you can go into this movie and kind of let the Groundhog Day baggage go away and just take this for what it is, I think you should be able to have a lot of fun with it. So I'll just give you the basic twist that's a little bit different. It's not really a spoiler because it's kind of the premise, is that you've got Niles already in the time loop. The difference in this one is, it's at Palm Springs and it's during a wedding and a wedding reception. So that's kind of the time loop he's stuck in. So already you could see that as kind of a hellish existence if you're always going to be stuck in this, wedding and wedding reception over and over and over again at this like resort. Well, one of the bridesmaids is there and she gets sucked into his time loop. So now you have two people in the time loop. And that adds a ton of weird, interesting variations. And I will add one other character to this, or one other actor to this, and that is J.K. Simmons. And I love J.K. Simmons.
I'm sold. You should have opened with that.
Yeah. So he isn't a huge role in this, but when J.K. Simmons appears, you're like, oh, I love this. J.K. Simmons is here. And he has, I would say, at least two great moments in this movie. And I'll be curious to hear what Lewis thinks of this movie, because I actually found it a ton of fun. It has kind of all those elements you expect in a romantic comedy. It doesn't reinvent.
I haven't seen it yet, but we actually reviewed it. Well, one of the hosts on Man Bites Film reviewed it, and it caught my attention. Just the way that it was presented, the low concept.
Yeah.
Like that.
So what did he think of it? Did he like it? Did he think it was okay?
Zach loved it, dude. Zach was like, dude, this was something that he just thought it was like a brilliant play. And he's very much into the plays and stuff like that. And he said that it kind of felt like that comedic play style back in the early 80s, 90s type of thing.
So the way I look at it is this. So if you look at something like Groundhog Day, like what kind of makes it really fun, other than just Bill Murray, obviously, is that how he plays with the time loop, right? So how he constantly is like retesting it, and like there's all the suicide sequences in that, and all the different things he does to kind of try to figure out the time loop. Well, this is very similar in the sense of they do a really good job of constantly changing it up. And there's a ton of side characters, and they all start interacting in different ways. And based on the previous loops, the way you see them interact, there's little surprises about things you didn't know about them earlier on that are really fun. And what really makes it a kind of an interesting variation on the theme is how she plays into it. Because now you've got him, he's been in the time loop for a while, and she's a new person in the time loop. And how does that affect things? And then, of course, J.K. Simmons, I'm not even going to tell you what his character is, but he's a whole part of it as well. I don't think it's going to, like I said, I don't think it's going to change the world. I don't think you're going to maybe even find it on your best of the year or anything like that. But I think you could have a ton of fun going into this movie. Kind of like we talked about earlier. Like sometimes you just want to watch a movie and just know that it's not the best movie in the world.
So, I mean...
Yeah, and it's not as... I think he's a little bit toned back. So that's another thing. If you're not really Andy Samberg kind of guy, he's not quite as over the top and goofy as he often is. He's dialed back a little bit. He's still him. He's still going to have that role. But honestly, Kristen Milioti, gotta say her name right, she steals this movie. If she is so cool and so likable and so awesome of a character, I loved her character so much. And part of these kind of movies is, you think about in Groundhog Day, you have to love the Andy McDowell character and him interacting. But in that one, she is just kind of the object that he wants. But in this movie, they're equal actors in this kind of crazy situation. So she becomes just as much the main character as he is. So I really appreciated that part of it. And if you've never seen her before, what I would just remember from her is, if you watch Black Mirror, there was that episode called the USS Callister, which was that Star Trek.
Yeah.
She is the main woman in the USS Callister. So I was like, where in the hell do I know this woman from? And that's where I remembered her from. She's been in a ton of things, but I would say watch her. She holds her own, if not, blows him out of the water. And honestly, she's amazing, this show. So I think you could have a ton of fun watching this movie. It's quick. It never gets boring. It's not, you don't have to think a lot. It's not like the opposite of First Cow. First Cow, you're going to be sitting there and it's like, you're intense and it's like quiet and slow. And this is just like, exploding around you. It's fun. So check it out.
I'm definitely enthusiastic about that one.
I think I put
Eric
to sleep. Greg's dead. We don't know what he is.
I'm not asleep. This is so stupid. We've already went off the rails enough. I'm not going to do it again. I was going to say something. I was like, nope. I'm not going to say that. Restraint. I don't show it much, but when I do, it's awesome.
All right, so let's
have that on his tombstone. All right, everybody. How are we going to round this out? Lewis, take us home.
Oh, I thought Eric had another one. My bad.
Oh, no. I do, but I'm saving that for when Greg comes back. And,
all right, sweet. Yeah. So, Bruce, give us where we could find all your content and everything. Come on.
So my YouTube is Rustomeyer, RUSTOMIRE. I just went over the fabled 1,000 subscribers, so
nice.
Take that for what it is. And what I'm trying to do every week, so if people are looking out there, I will link into the Movie Mainline feed as well, but I'm at least doing 1 or 2 reviews a week, and I'm doing at least 1 interview or conversation. So this week you can go check out an in-depth review with William Lindis from Movie Bears podcast of the Duke of Burgundy. And we also have another, by the time this is out, you're going to see a full-length conversation with William Lindis that I did. It's probably about an hour long, and we go everywhere from Labyrinth to... I mean, we go into so many things that I can't even go through them all, but we go on a long conversation. We talk about the most awkward movie-going experiences we had with our parents. So it's a lot of fun. And for anyone who's listened to that podcast, William Lindis is awesome. He's a great guy. He's kind of our unofficial fifth member here, so we love William. So
hell yeah,
he's our official unofficial fifth member.
Yeah,
correct. He is.
So Eric Holmes, how about you? Where can we find any of your content or anything?
You can find it all right here. Actually, I did a little thing with my friend. Josh Lamb and Dave Sigafus have a sports ball and retro show podcast, and I appear on there sometimes. We do a little, what do you call them? Little radio bits. I'm not on it much. I just call in and do like a morning radio, morning zoo sort of bits. And this time we did. Last one we did was it's 1977, and I'm a movie reviewer from 1977, so we make bad predictions on movies. It's
That's gotta be
like,
fun.
hey, hip cat, there's a new movie called Star Wars coming out. I don't think it's going to go very far, but the kids might like it. So, maybe show the kids if you got nothing better to do. It looks like a really groovy movie, if not completely cheesy and cornball. And it'll come and go, so just get there as soon as you can. Otherwise, you'll miss it. Star Wars. It's stupid like that, but it's funny. And the podcast is mostly sports related, but they don't. There are no sports, so they go off the rails more than we did today. So it's pretty fun.
That's awesome. And of course, my name is Luis Lacau, and you can check out any of the content on manbitesmedia.com. And of course, gregsrisavasdi, which he is not here because he got ill, or so we think.
Food poisoning, not COVID. He'll live.
And please check out everything on Deepest Dream, which Bruce also writes on as well, and CinemAddicts feed, which I'm pretty sure everybody that listens to us already listens to CinemAddicts as well. So thank you guys.
What are you doing?
Yeah, right. Thank you guys.
What are you doing?
For bringing up amazing fucking movies this week. And I added 3 movies to my list already for sure that I will be watching in the next 2 days that I have off. So,
Is it one of them Star Wars?
No.
It's a pretty groovy movie, man. You seem like a really hip cat. Maybe you check out that Star Wars movie.
Oh, don't get me started on Star Wars. That's for another time.
We'll rewind that next week.
Yeah, right?
Rewind Star Wars. I saw this movie. Hang with me here. There's a space dog. And oh no. It's a little weird.
He doesn't cough up hairballs either. It's weird. Bizarre. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. And we are Movie Mainline. We will be back next week for another episode.
And we're sorry, Greg.
Yes. For being completely off the rails and not being a good host in any way or form. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, let's just redo this whole.